schedule to the days. Behind the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics living the same. All presentation, sports information. Hitting the airways, taking the nation. Sport all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays.
What is going on, everybody? This is Mike Hughes, and you are listening to another episode of Pros and Joes, where we talk X's and O's, everything college and MLB baseball. We are here. We have amazing guests today, and an In Off the Bench podcast co-host is making his beautiful appearance as well. I'm sitting here with two Tennessee legends and the mayor of Knoxville, Tennessee, Evan Russell and Sean Hunley. Welcome to the show, brothers. And Randy Jowers. It's always amazing to see that beautiful face. How are we all feeling today, my guys?
No, we're feeling good, ready to go.
Pretty good. Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Randy? Oh, of course, he sips.
If I was any better, I'd be Mike Hughes.
Oh.
Mike,
Dude,
I thought I was hearing gunshots in your background. My fault.
Wow. Jim, get him out of here. Jim, get him out of here. That's over.
I can't, man. He's ride or die Tennessee. I can't kick him off this episode. And any other one, I'd do it, but I can't do it.
Oh, you hate to see it. Where's DB? Where's DB? But I'm going to start off in all seriousness.
Hold on. Since you brought that up, Mike, let me tell these guys something that we didn't even talk about before coming on the show.
Go for it.
Daniel has decided he's going to be a South Carolina fan coming into this season. So they don't want nothing to do with DB. That's disrespectful.
Wow.
It's just poor choices all around. Poor choices all around. Starting the new year, too. That's insane.
I mean, we'll get into it, but DB is a fan of one of your teams, so we'll go with it.
Ooh, insane. But starting it off with the new year, Evan, Sean, tell us, how's everything been going so far? What are you looking forward to 2023?
Man, it's a year of opportunity. I'm looking forward to what's next in life, and I know Sean's looking forward to the season. He's got a pretty good road ahead of him, so I'm looking forward to seeing how his journey is.
What a political answer by the mayor himself. Sean.
Yeah.
How are we, Sean?
Oh, we're good. I'm currently in Knoxville right now. I'm training with some of the guys from previous teams that are playing pro ball now, like Trey Lipscomb and Pav. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to the season, and it's good like being here working out with these guys because we are going for the same goal and stuff like that. So it's good to be around these guys.
Without a doubt.
Hey, hold up. I will say Sean Hunley is actually in Tennessee's facility right now. I can tell. I don't know what he's doing.
I had to because no, that's a good guess though. No, I'm not doing that. But I couldn't be around the boys because I'd be laughing too much if I was doing it in front of them.
Randy, who was better, Evan walking through the Tennessee facilities or Drew Gilbert walking through Target?
I'm gonna have to go. Evan's backdrop was a little better, but yeah, Gilby was getting in some shopping. We'll just leave it at that.
Getting some sponsorship going on over there.
It's Target in Tennessee, guys.
It's Target no matter where you are.
They're supposed to be building a statue. They're supposed to be building a statue of Russ, I think, in Knoxville, like downtown.
I heard he's supposed to wear a top hat too, and instead of a cane, he's just got a walking 33-inch hat.
Yeah, there you go.
Insane. But fellas, on a serious note, I mean, there was a lot of things that have been going on throughout the last 48 hours in the sports world. I don't know if you guys got a chance to catch the game yesterday between the Buffalo Bills and obviously the Cincinnati Bengals, but there's a lot of talk, a couple viral videos of Randy Jowers and I going on right now. So Bart, if you're watching this, what's up with it? But anyways, looking at it in all seriousness, DeMar Hamlin, the T. Higgins hit, everything that goes into that. What was your reactions on that, and how scary does that really make you feel? Because this isn't just a football aspect. This is something that can happen any day to anybody. A 24-year-old male obviously goes into cardiac arrest, fighting for his life right now in Cincinnati as we speak. And our thoughts and prayers at Pros and Joes, In Off the Bench, and the ASAP Network are all with them. But for you guys as pro athletes, how scary is that for you, and how does that make you feel more human?
I'd say it's scary because you're playing the game you love, and it's kind of a therapy game, you could say, and you don't really think about things like that when you're playing. So for that to happen in that kind of a setting or any setting at all is just like terrible to see. And you could obviously tell from the reaction of like his teammates, the fans and stuff like that what went on was just a tragedy and stuff like that. But I mean, you hate to see it, especially if he's 24 years old. I mean, you give your life to a game like that, and that sort of thing kind of happens, and you just hate to see that.
Yeah,
Let me
I
ask
mean,
you, Sean. Yeah, go ahead, Evan.
go ahead. Oh, you go ahead. I'll talk in a
I was
minute.
going to ask you, Sean, man, the thing I want to ask, like he said, it could happen on any field, but, if it happens on a baseball field and it happens to one of your teammates, if they were to tell you, like they were trying to do last night, it seems, in the football game, that you had to go back out there and play, would you be able to?
Absolutely not. There's no way. I don't even see how they'd be able to play within even 2 weeks from now, like
Right.
depending on what the situation happens. Like I wouldn't. There's no motivation to even get back on the field until you know, like what's going on with his life.
Yeah, I'll touch on that too, because if Sean remembers, whenever we were playing at Tennessee together, we were playing, I think Tennessee Tech, and there was a guy, he was pitching, and he was throwing a very good game, and he threw a pitch and broke his arm on the pitch. And obviously, it's something that's not near as dramatic as what we saw last night. But even then, we saw a dude's career just get pushed back for 18 months at least. So it was, it was very difficult for us to watch him come off the field, and it was hard to focus on the rest of the game. So something that is at such a small degree that happened like that, to see what happened last night and to see how everyone's emotions were and the support that the young man is getting, in my opinion, it's very humbling to see someone that is so doing something that's so impressive that many kids, many people would love to be able to have the opportunity to do, and he's very successful in it. But for his life to come to almost a complete stop at the moment, and how he's having to fight for his life, everyone goes straight into sending in prayers and showing support, and football kind of takes a step back. So I think it was really humbling to see, even though humans value athletes at a high level, at the end of the day, humans are humans.
Without a doubt. I sent it earlier to Randy too. My bad, Sean. I sent it to Randy though. The kid, DeMar, man. I mean, he does this toy charity, this toy drive, and $2,000 are raised, about $2,500. Not much. It's still a lot of money for a toy drive, but it's not much at all. And to see the community come together and find out about that, and now has over $4 million for that organization,
Over
and for
five
that
now.
$5 million now. I mean, and that was just an hour ago. It was four flat. So I mean, the fact that the community is coming together in that way, it's amazing to really see that kind of thing happen. Now, of course, 4 of those millions of dollars are all from Randy Jowers, but it's something nonetheless. It's still amazing. It's still something everybody should be proud of, that everybody's come together in this way. But Sean, as I was leaning for you, I wanted to ask you, when does, in your opinion, are you able to play this game? Because a lot of people right now are talking about the business side of it, of, everyone needs to figure this out. We have a seating. We need this. We need that. This needs to happen. It's a business. But for you mentally, when would you be able to actually step back on the field and feel comfortable in that aspect?
I don't think you can do anything until, I mean, there's some kind of an outcome of, him being okay. I mean, I know if he was my teammate, if it was, a baseball situation, that sort of thing kind of happened, like I wouldn't be able to. I mean, there was guys on his team that were tweeting like they couldn't sleep just thinking about him and stuff like that. So I wouldn't be able to do hardly anything probably until I knew that he was okay. So I don't see it happening. I don't know their plan. I don't see it happening anytime soon, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Hey, Mike, I tell you something now that I think about it. For both you guys, they did have a teammate. Obviously, he had moved on, but Drew Gilbert had a scary moment crashing into the wall this year. What was it like for you guys? Start with you, Evan, watching that clip and seeing him hit and stay down for as long as he did.
It was without a doubt not surprising to me to see him running into a wall in a minor league game. Drew Gilbert's my guy, man. I would go to battle for him any day of the week, no matter who thinks of him as an enemy. He's always going to be my friend, and I'm his biggest fan, maybe behind Sean. But it didn't shock me to see him hurt himself, but it's also very frustrating because I know he's wanting to get into the system and get going, especially on how competitive he is and how competitive the Astros are. He's ready to get going and make his way to the league, and I think it won't take long for him to have success. But he definitely needs to be careful within walls.
Without a doubt. I think that for Sean kind of touched on it, right? It humanizes the whole element. Obviously, we were all watching, excited to see that game between the Bengals and the Bills, and to see it kind of unfold like that. We didn't know what we were watching. And me personally, I've watched a lot of sports my whole life. I've never seen anything like that, live, real time. So definitely when I saw the athletes' reaction to it, it was definitely a somber moment. So I think that it was said best this morning. I heard a guy saying, a lot of people, this is for entertainment, right? Fans watch it to be entertained, but there is a human element. I think you hit on that good, Evan. But Sean, I want to kind of transition over to you. There's no real good segue to go from that. I think Mike touched on it well. Obviously, prayers and thoughts for him. The young man hopefully recovers 100%. But the last time you came on, Sean, you guys had just made it to Omaha. You're prepping, for the draft or whatever. Obviously, you get drafted 19th in the 19th round by the Tampa Bay Rays. But really, just talk us through what that draft process was like and kind of what you felt going through it, that range of emotions.
Yeah, I mean, the whole draft scene was really nerve-wracking because I didn't know, what was going to happen. Obviously, I had a second year or another year at UT, and I didn't know if I was going to come back for that or not. And I was kind of hearing my name, earlier than when I got drafted, so I was kind of pretty confident I would get drafted at some point. And then it came down to I got a call on the 13th, and they asked me if I wanted to go, and I was like, yeah. And then I didn't hear anything until the 18th, and then they asked me again, and I was like, yes. And so they ended up taking me in the 19th round. But that whole scene was, really nerve-wracking. I was anxious the whole time, but it was once I got my name called, I was on cloud nine because that's the only reason you play, because you want to get drafted. As far as pro season stuff, I started out in high A this past season. And I was there for 5 days. And funny story, I was in spring training, I was expecting to be, starting in low A and then kind of going up the ranks and stuff like that. But then I broke camp and I was in high A. And within 4 or 5 days, I got a call from the manager at the high A team. And it was 11 p.m. And he's like, hey, when the phone was ringing, I was like, I got to be in trouble. Something's wrong. I'm either in trouble or I'm throwing tomorrow. It's one of the two. And I answered it, and he was like, hey, they want you in Montgomery tomorrow. And as soon as he said that, I was like, in my head, I was like, you got the wrong guy. It's been 4 days, and I've had one spring training. So at that point, I'm like, okay, I guess this is for real. So I ended up going to Double A in Montgomery, and then, I spent the whole season there, and it was really fun to be around those guys, because I didn't know those guys on that team from spring training, because you space it out a little bit to play with the guys that you're going to be with. So I kind of went in that with not knowing really anybody, but it was fun to be with those guys and play with those guys for a season.
Sean, when you my bad, Randy, but I have to, as someone who gets into some mischief from here and there, I have to ask you, when you're in this situation, you're like, all right, I'm either getting promoted or I'm in some deep shit. Do you go straight to the office, or do you get a water break first? Do you walk around, make sure your shoes are tied, make sure everything's going around, or are you kind of dancing around going to the office?
It wasn't even an office thing. It was a phone call, because when the phone was ringing, I was sitting there, like I said, I was like, I didn't do anything wrong. So I'm like, okay, right. I don't think I'm in trouble. So I answered it. My roommate was sitting next to me, and it was a legit 30-second conversation. And he was like, hey, good luck. Your bags will be at the hotel in about 30 minutes. And I was like, okay, thanks.
I would have answered the phone and be like, oh, sorry, coach, I'm doing a Bible study right now. Hold on.
Yeah. So it was real fast. I told my roommate, I was like, hey, dude, I'm pretty sure I just got called up to Double A. And he's like, there's no way. And I was like, yeah, they're bringing my bags. But in that situation, it was one of two things, and it ended up being something else. So.
No, that's awesome. Evan, I want to go to you for just 1 second. Obviously, a lot has been made. A legendary career you had. As humble as you are, I know you won't say that, so I'll say it for you. Obviously, we're huge fans here. So you get to stay, an extra year and be a part of a magical run. Didn't end the way you guys wanted it to, of course, but the memories were made. Absolute blast to watch. But as far as, going pro, you mentioned it a little bit today, and we'll get into that. There was the dream was to go pro. The dream was to play SEC ball. You were able to accomplish that and accomplish it at a high level, be a part of some building the program to what it is today. So I just want to kind of Talk about what it was like for you, though. Obviously, you reached your goals as far. You didn't win a World Series, of course, but you played in the SEC, play at a high level, are a big part of such a successful run. What was it like when the Angels reach out to you for that free agent contract?
Man, that was a pretty cool moment. I was sitting there for 3 days throughout the draft, not expecting much, to be honest. Being in the situation that I was, 24, I'd played 5 years. I just started catching. I have banged up knees. I'm not the healthiest guy in the world after 5 years of college baseball, so I wasn't expecting too much. But whenever I got the call, it was a pretty surreal moment just because it was kind of a phone call that basically showed 24 years of hard work. And I was going to at least get the opportunity to get in the system, show them what I could do, see where I fit, at least be a part of a professional baseball and be able to say that I was a professional athlete. Obviously, the dream wasn't really something that was best for me, but getting to be a part of it just for a little while, it was pretty surreal.
Let me tell you something, Evan. Shout out to Jason Russell because he sent me the news before you had even signed, because he knew we're loyal fans, and I was like, I was wanting to tell everybody, and he said as soon as he signs it, man, he goes, tell everybody, and it was cool. I felt like that breaking news reporter. I put it in all the Vols forums. Man, that thing it blew up like wildfire. So many people were so happy for you, and it was cool to be able to share that with so many people. So shout out to your dad for letting me break that.
So
yeah,
Evan,
man, it was cool to see all the support that I was getting at that time too. I think that kind of shows loyalty that I was giving to the fans and the team, and I think it was kind of being reciprocated back in all just that one moment.
Evan, we ride for you, dog. We got you. But I wanted to ask you too, though. Was there ever a moment that you kind of take a step back and look? Because obviously we know where you grew up, in Lexington, and you thought like, okay, I'm signed to a free agent contract. I lived out this dream of playing at Tennessee. To look at just where you came from, was there ever a moment, or is that going to come later, where you look back and like, man, what a journey, and really appreciate it for what it was?
Well, I mean, I get chills about it whenever I think about the entire journey. There was a lot that went into it. I really didn't know what I was doing in high school, trying to get my foot in the door of a SEC school. All I heard was work hard and you'll figure it out. Well, I know a lot of people that worked really hard along with me that didn't get the chance of living out their dream. So I definitely had a lot of blessings coming my way throughout my career. So looking back, it's pretty awesome to sort of see how it all shaped out. And I think the lessons that I've learned throughout the entire journey, it'll be more than enough for me to be able to teach people that are wanting to go through the same journey, and also be able to use those experiences for my next.
That's a nice little Easter egg there, Evan. I like that. We got a transition going.
You're gonna have a hell of a story to tell, your kids and grandkids one day as well too. But Sean, I want to get to you real quick. So you talked about a little bit about your journey getting promoted. So you're 8-2 to start your career in the minors, 3.39 ERA, currently with the Montgomery Biscuits. So at Tennessee, though, you were coming out of the bullpen. So I wanted to talk to you about what is that transition like, coming out of the pen, transitioning back to a starting role?
It's a little different, mentality and physically, because as a reliever, you go in there and you're like, okay, I gotta bust it up 2 minutes or maybe 3. And you have more energy. There's more, adrenaline in a relief situation like that, especially here at Tennessee. The last year I was here, I feel like I couldn't, breathe. But then transition to a starting role, it's different because you have to almost like progress through the game, I guess you could say, because you're not going to go out there and just bust it out for 1 inning, and then you're not going to be able to, have anything for like 5 more innings. So it changes a little bit when you look at routines and stuff like that, because I started out as a reliever at the beginning of the season in pro ball, and like you never knew when you were going to throw. So like your lifting schedule's way off. You never know when to lift. You never know when to do your running, because you might throw that night because you play every day. And then when you go as a starter, you're like, okay, I'm throwing Friday so I can work out this day, run this day, work out this day, and so forth. So I kind of like starting more because you have more of a routine. But I'd say the only thing that's different is the mental part of it, and then as a starter, being able to progress through a game.
Yeah, no doubt. But I guess what do you think has been the key? Obviously, you talked about routine. Is there one thing that's contributed to your success so early?
Honestly, I think it's just I've been doing the same thing that I was doing in college. You see guys that throw 112 and they don't really have an idea where they're going yet. They're kind of learning a little bit. I saw in high A there was a lot of hard throwing guys, but they didn't have the strikes that they needed to get to the next level. So, and then when I got to double A, everybody was like, all right, everybody's throwing strikes, but everybody has like plus off speed pitches and stuff like that. So I think just learning, I guess just doing the same thing I did in college, just throwing strikes and, keeping guys off balance is kind of if you look at it in a bigger picture, it's all kind of the same game. Everybody's just a little bit bigger.
Yeah, our girl queen Nikki Mays from the SEC Focus page says that's a big transition. Normally it's opposite. It started to relief, so that's awesome and hard. Definitely. So Nikki knows a little bit about that. She's married to a former athlete herself, so definitely kudos to you for being able to do that. I can't imagine, the transition and what that takes mentally. And you talked about it too, the closer role, and I've heard them talk about that too. When you're a closer or coming out of relief, whatever it is, it's that adrenaline, that it's like a one-hit wonder, right? So being able to pace yourself and really be able to extend that out for innings on innings got to be a harder transition than even, you can say.
Yeah, I will say, too, that my last year when I was a closer and coming into situations like that was probably the most fun that I've had pitching because I felt like it was, the game was dictated by me at the end. Like I kind of decided if we won or lost. And, as a starter, you don't really get to decide that, but you get to give your team a chance. I guess that could be a difference too.
Yeah. So Evan, coming back to you. So you signed with the Angels, like we talk about, as opposed to Sean's process of getting drafted. What's it look like for you? Like, how fast do you have to report? How quick does this process go after they make that phone call?
I had about a couple of weeks figuring out the flight information, what I needed to bring, how long I was going to be out, things like that. So I had a couple of weeks of preparing. There wasn't really too much of a rush for me to get out. I was privileged enough to be on the same team as Ben Joyce, my former teammate. So seeing him, which was in a way different situation than I was in, get shipped out immediately, go sign forms, get the physical done. It was just very different to be a part of that.
So you get out there. Let me ask you, Evan, we talked to you about this multiple times on and off the bench. Obviously an elite outfielder transition to catcher, start to become and develop into this elite catcher. When you go out there, is there any talk of playing either one or is it one specifically?
So I went out there with the intentions for both parties were to be the catcher or be a catcher. So there was never any talks of playing the outfield. I never once even had it mentioned to me to play the outfield, to have my outfield glove. It was all, if I was going to start this journey, it was going to be catching. And preferably that was what I was wanting to do. I think that was going to be my best shot. So I definitely got in the system. I got into high. I started, I was mostly in the bullpen, being 24, being older, sort of had it needed throughout my process, needed other people to,
we lost him. There he is.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of needed other people to get injured or traded or play pretty bad. So
Mike will take out kneecaps. We'll get you all the way to the top if we got to, bro.
I'll tell you what, Evan, without a shadow of a doubt, for you, I'll go to the can. Like, I'll do whatever you need me to do. But Evan, I do.
You told me you weren't going back.
I ain't. But for Evan, I do what I got to do. I need him and Gilly Goo on the same field in the MLB. But Evan, I do want to ask you in the most respectful way possible, because here, I mean, if you need minor league baseball help, if you need a question answered, I'm your guy. These guys next to you, obviously, you already know. they are second to none when it comes to college baseball. But I've been watching every single minor league team in the game. And I look at the Angels organization and I look at the catching position respectfully. And I look at a king like the mayor of Knoxville. And I go, Evan will fly through these rankings. For you, like really, what was that process into? Obviously, you talked about it a little bit earlier, but was there ever a point where you said that it was a competition thing, or was it really just a, hey, I have other things that I want to aspire to do?
I think it was sort of a combination of both. Going into it, I had a couple offers at the end of the draft to pick which team I wanted to go, and I looked into the Angels, and I was like you. I thought that was my best path. So I
Respectfully.
was, respectfully. I jumped
Very
straight
nice
into it.
path, clean gold path, like the gold road in the Wizard of Oz, like that.
Right. So I was going into it with a lot of confidence. I knew it was going to take quite a while just because of the minor leagues, but I went into it with quite a bit of confidence.
Right.
And then about 2 weeks into me being on the team, they signed a guy, Ohapi is his name, and he's younger than me, and they sent him straight to the big leagues. And to be honest, he's better than me. So there was no question of who, if I deserve to get a chance, even though I was only there 2 weeks. There was no question of that. And then I started looking at the prospect list. There was the next highest prospect was a 21-year-old catcher. He had just hit 320 with 17 home runs. Was the MVP of the minors. So, I was really just starting to look at my situation.
Right.
See that I was competing against guys that were 3 or 4 years younger than me, just as talented, if not more talented than me. I have a certain skill set where it comes to competitive, learning how to compete in the moment. But at the end of the day, the tools is what makes you a great professional player. And I sort of had to look in the mirror and see that my tools were not as sharp as some of the other ones.
Right. And before I hand it back to Jim and before we address what Nikki's about to say, I do want to say, the in off the bench brothers up here and Jim and Randy did take my catcher personally, and I'm stuck with Tucker Barnhart. So if you want, Evan, I can make a call to the Chicago Cubs. I know a pipeline you can fly right through. It's as easy as cheese. I mean, it will not be hard. I promise you. So
are you still crying at sleep at night about this Contreras thing,
just
bro?
hey, Evan, just let me
gosh.
know, because apparently, you're talking about me going to the can, but we got a couple criminals up top just taking guys left and right. So just let me know, Evan, and I got a spot for you.
Hey, hold on. You think that like maybe the Braves got something to say about taking people, dog?
Dude, I don't want to talk to them at all. Like, cry about it.
Dansby, I mean, come on, baby.
Who? What?
So Sean, I got to ask you about this because, when y'all came on together originally, obviously you're best friends, your roommates, but Evan's playing left field. And then you obviously move on and he becomes a catcher, and as a pitcher. And so what was it like for you to watch him transition to that role and not even just catch, but watch him catch Dolander, Burns, Blade, Beam, Joyce, Camden? I could do this all day because the pitches, the elite arms across the board, and for him to transition and be able to do that effectively.
I mean, yeah, he came in actually as a catcher. I mean, he was a catcher third bases when he came in as a freshman. And I didn't think it was bad. I mean, he ended up playing third base, I think, a little bit his freshman year. But then I remember after the season, I don't even remember when it was. It was before his last season. He was like, yeah, dude. He was talking to me. He's like, yeah, dude, I think I'm going to try to catch. And I'm sitting there like, oh, okay. Yeah, that's a good idea because, we just lost Pav. So I'm sitting there like, okay, this is not a bad idea. Plus, what people don't realize is the decision that he made to do that actually bettered the team, I think, because it opened up a spot in the outfield for other guys because the guys in the outfield that were in there were good.
And y'all had elite depth at outfield, no doubt.
Yeah. So it actually made their lineup a lot deeper. But I remember him telling me like, hey, I'm going to start catching. And I was in town. I don't even know what for, but I was living here or something. And I remember him setting up the machine, and I would feed the machine to him as he was catching to work on his catching stuff. And I remember what he looked like catching right there. And then I look back because I watched their games like every time I got the chance, and I'm sitting there like, that's not even the same guy. Like this guy's framing 104 from Ben Joyce. I'm like, that is not what he looked like, in the cages when I was like feeding the machine. But like, if anybody could have done it, it was him, because I mean, the guy works really hard. I knew he could do it. I know people had doubts about him doing it, but I didn't at all. And I mean, obviously it worked out for him because he did really well doing it.
Yeah, and I mean, we even got on our episode, Randy will tell you, we were talking to Alex Milazzo from LSU, and he even brought it up himself about how he watched Evan and how, it was just amazing to watch how good he became, especially for the arms he was catching. So he was even getting recognition from other SEC catchers, not just teammates. But let me ask you, and if you listen to the episode, you know the answer, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say you probably didn't. So with that being said, who was the pitcher that he said made him lose sleep at night the night before he had to catch him?
Chase Burns.
Yeah, absolutely. Randy asked him what it was like to catch Ben Joyce, and he said it didn't mess him up nearly as bad as knowing he had to catch Burnsy the next day.
If I remember, Evan can correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember him saying something like, you don't know which way his ball's going, or
you
don't know what you're going to
on TikTok, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that.
Evan, if I get any money off of dog, I got you, man.
I appreciate it.
So, this show is called Friends or Foes for a reason. So we fixing a transition. We're going to see if y'all did as good as Pavs and Lipscomb did, because, they got into the villainous roles, which you Tennessee boys should, welcome. Y'all are used to it. So with that, we're going to ask some questions, and we want you to be honest, So I'm going to start with you, Sean, and then we'll go to Evan second. Of the guys on your team, it could be the first year, the second year, or in any of the years before, honestly, with as long as you guys were there, who is the first guy that you think makes it to the show? And you can even say yourself, Sean, if it's you.
I would say Drew Gilbert, just because, I mean, I don't really see a flaw in that guy's game, to be honest with you. He works really hard. I mean, I'd say Drew Gilbert for sure.
All right. Who you got, Evan?
Man, I already told you that Drew Gilbert's my guy, but I can't see this next year going without Ben Joyce being called up. He's already got the tools. He's already got the tools.
I mean, the way he dominated in Double A, of course, Sean, that's why I gave Sean the option to say himself. He did as well. But Evan, that's what we've heard from multiple people. I mean, he's already ready, dialed in. And what's crazy is, Evan, talking about you catching him, kind of going off on a tangent because this wasn't part of it, but we talked to him about it on his episode, the movement that is now developed. He's taking a little bit off. He's not throwing 104. He's throwing just, a measly 100, but that thing is moving now. Like, I mean, when you watch those videos, are you glad you're not catching that anymore?
Man, it was almost like I was so locked in whenever I was having to catch him that nothing else mattered in the world. So I will never experience the feeling that I had at that moment ever again. I kind of miss catching him a little bit just because I could say that no one was doing what I was doing. But now that he's got his slider up to 90 miles an hour, I don't know if I want anything to do with that.
No doubt. So, Sean, next question. This was the fun one because we had the two hitters before. Now we got a pitcher and a hitter. Who hit the best bombs of any Tennessee player you played with?
You're putting me on the spot with this guy on the phone. I'd say I'd have to pick Gilbert's walk-off. I mean,
no, not one specific.
We're talking about
who hit just overall ball. Yeah, we know Gilbert has the moment of
consistency.
Okay, yeah. I mean, okay.
Who's the best one to watch?
I mean, I'm gonna say Evan because I mean, what's he? He's like
he gets 3 in one game. That's why he has 3 in one game.
3 in multiple games.
Multiple games, but when you do it against Vanderbilt, you're a legend.
Well, I didn't bring up the other one because it's against my team.
You're talking Vanderbilt and LSU.
That was my favorite.
That was And I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'd go Evan.
Evan, who you got?
Man, I could say about 5 or 6 guys that I would just sit there in the dugout.
But you got to go one. That's
but Evan, really quick, you could say 5 or 6 guys, but tell me right now why it's yourself.
It's not him. Evan's not that guy.
He's not. You can't be the mayor and pick yourself. Come on.
No, man. I'll tell you what. If you remember a guy named Alex Solari, Watching him hit some baseballs in college was unbelievable. Especially he only weighed 160 pounds. That was before people really appreciated Tennessee baseball, and understandable. We weren't that good, so it would be difficult to watch. But Alex Solari was way ahead of his time when it came to hitting balls and letting the team know about it. But the person that's going to be close to him is Blake Berg.
Blake Berg is
no doubt.
That King Griffey Jr. swing.
It looks
Blake
so
Berg's going to
pretty.
play a long time.
Jim, put that haters comment up there, dog.
What he said is it the second one?
Just make sure your bat has a sticker on it. I'm just saying.
Look,
Evan, I want to point this out to you. This guy that's saying this is a Vanderbilt fan, and since y'all went into their house and embarrassed them, and they tried to say y'all was cheating, and they still got beat. You just got to roll with the punches, man. You can't worry about this guy too much.
Oh, that's part of it. I think it would have been a closer series if they didn't just install new lights. I think that kind of helped.
Hey, Drew Gilbert had no problem with them lights in center. I'm just saying.
True.
But hey, I'll tell you what your boys said. I can't remember who said which one, but Pavs and Lipscomb, one said Gilbert, one said Beck. But then I asked who had better between the two of them, and Pav said mine looked better, and then Trey immediately responded before I could even ask him. He said, "But I hit way more." So, and they started going to each other. So I don't know. Let me ask you that, Evan, since you're the hitter of the two, would you rather have more and they don't go as far, or would you rather have less and they're just Titanic bombs?
Give me more, man. Give me more.
You always got to go more.
I was just as happy over that 450 homer than it was the 325 down the line, man.
Right.
It all goes down the same in the book.
Get the jog, right? As long as it's a jog around the bases.
No doubt. So, Sean, this one's a fun one for you. If you can pick any ex-teammate, you make it to the show. I'm not, because you may already even face some guys in the minors. You make it to the show, and you can pick an ex-teammate to be the first one you strike out on the big league stage. Who is it?
I want Gilbert. I want Gilbert.
That's the right answer.
He's probably going to snap his bat, and he's going to throw his helmet. He's going to throw his helmet into the helmet shelf and stuff like that. So I think I'd go Gilbert on this one.
All right, Evan, you can pick a pitcher to take yard in the show. Who is it?
Well, you're on the Chicago Cubs, of course. Of course.
It would have to be Chase Dollander.
Yeah.
I love that dude. The dude. He's a fantastic guy. He's obviously, you've seen what he can do on the mound. But he's going to have a 10-year career in the majors. So to be able to say I took him deep on a major league field it'd be nice. Yeah,
Lipscomb said Joyce, and Pavs said Cheese, which I then sent Cheese, and he was very disgusted because he said, as if I don't give up enough bombs. Like, and I was like, yeah, it's kind of foul that he went after the Cheese.
He did set some kind of record of like fall and like in season home runs. I think it was like 40 if you combine the both.
Hey, but y'all always had enough firepower behind him to give him the dub.
Yeah, he wouldn't be mad about me saying that either. I promise. He'd laugh about it.
So let me ask you guys, how weird does he look without, as he called them, the mosquito goggles when he pitched them? No glasses at all now. Does that not look funny to y'all as y'all seen him for so many years in one way?
No, those goggles were elite. Those were Chad to a T, like not even close. So I guess it is kind of weird to see him not wearing them.
All right, I'm going to ask you to answer that question, Sean. How many is Jordan Beck going to hit in Colorado?
50.
In the big leagues?
If he makes it to the bigs, how many we going with?
In one season, I'm going to go close probably I'll say 40. I mean, with that air there, you got to hit it up.
Evan's like 70.
Nah. I love Beck, man. He's I don't know if I can give him 40, man. 40's quite a few.
That's a lot. That's a strong dude, but he cut his hair. I'm going to go 30.
Yeah, the haircut bothering the mess out of me. I don't know if he's got any power anymore. I've read Samson in the Bible. I know how this goes.
I got a question. You're not the one getting interviewed. All right, who looks more strange? Jordan Beck without the hair or Cheese without the goggles?
Oh, I think Beck without the hair.
I agree. When you sent me that picture that day, I was like, who is that? What?
It's weird how you can't recognize somebody because of hair, but it happened. Like,
I remember when they posted a picture of him at like his rookie ball whenever he got drafted in Colorado, and there was like a picture of him, and I was like, why are they posting this guy?
That's what I said. Jim sent it to me. He was like, "Look at our boy." I'm like, "Who?" What?
Yeah,
we had that guy on.
I had to take a second look. I was like, "Who is that guy?"
So perfect segue because we're talking about these guys. You know, we've had a lot of your teammates on, and there's been a consistent debate about who has the most drip, who has the most swag. Cheese clearly thinks it's him. Camden Sewell came on and said it was him. You know, we've had some of your teammates say it's clearly Kirby in that stash. Then, you know, Coach V. I mean, how can that not be a possibility? All these debates. So, Evan, I'll start with you. Of all the guys you play with, I mean, who's the king of swag?
The king of swag, man. Trey Lipscomb.
That's
more
what
than
I was
likely.
gonna say.
Where's that fur coat, baby?
Boy.
Man, for some reason, that hat with the fur coat it looked right on him.
Coach V said it smelled terrible though.
It's awful. Awful.
What about you, Sean?
It ain't me, that's for sure.
I don't know. I've been seeing these minor league picks. You got the flow and the shades. You in the mix now, bro.
Oh, are we talking baseball swag or are we talking like just life swag?
No, we're talking about baseball swag.
Oh, we're talking baseball swag. All right, let's go. Who'd you say, Evan?
I said Trey.
Trey?
I noticed nobody said
It
Luke
ain't-
Lipsius. That's kind of weird.
It ain't cheese.
Well, you're gonna have to convince him of that.
Yeah,
She thinks he has more swag than anybody. This man came on to our last episode. No joke. Randy immediately addressed it. He was wearing a cutoff denim V-neck.
It was so clean, bro.
I'll say Ferguson.
Oh, I got a new answer. Nobody has said Fergie yet.
Yeah, I'll go
Fergie,
Ferguson.
if you're watching this episode, you could come on our show now. Don't be scared.
Man, what? He's the one Tennessee guy that is not Kane.
We gotta get him on here after I said that.
Mike is kind of he's our version. He's like the wish.com version of Max Ferguson, you know, kind of looks similar. You know what I'm saying? Real cute. Got some hot girls, you know.
I appreciate that.
All right, so this next one's going to put y'all on the spot. And y'all ain't going to like picking, but I'm going to do it. Start with you again, Evan. You know, obviously we know the expectations with Dolander, but we know what Burns, Beam have. You know, who has the best season on the mound this year, the three of them?
It's no question, man. I think Beam had a fantastic season. Don't get me wrong. I think Burns is the sky's the limit for him, but Chase Dollander is about to do some things that I don't think we'll see from college baseball in a long time. You know, he's got a smooth delivery. He's able to repeat pitches. He can throw 4 pitches for strikes. I would feel guilty to bet against him.
Well, I've already told him I publicly bet against him, and then I told Randy not to tag me because Chase was doing me favors he was getting players on the show, so don't mess up my connect. But I told him when he went to Baton Rouge it was on, and then immediately Randy tags him in it. So
I deleted it, but I'm not sure if you saw it.
I don't know. I ain't trying to call my man out, but he is on the socials a lot. He probably caught it. But Sean, you know, for you, who do you think has the best season? Is it Dolander, or do you think Burns or Beam?
I'm in the same boat as Evan. I'd say Dolander, but I mean, you're also talking about 2 other guys that are top 5 rounders, which is, you know, kind of nuts to have as a rotation in the first place anyway. But if I had to choose, I'd say Dolander too.
And that's such a luxury for that Tennessee team. The idea that Burns and Beam ain't even draft eligible after this year, so they got him another year. So like, That's such a beautiful thing. All right, so this next one's fun. Blake Burke came on our show. He said he was hitting 25 home runs. Evan, over or under?
Man, I'm taking the over. There ain't no question that a guy like Blake Burke can leave the yard, but especially at our park, being the short fence and right, man, if he plays every day, if he stays healthy and plays every day, he could very well hit 25, 26, 27.
Sean, you going over or under? I know you didn't get to play with Blake, but I know you watched him.
I didn't get to play with him, so I don't know him as well as Evan would, but I'm going to take the over because I saw the home runs he hit, and I know that he hit 14 or something like that in 80 ABs or whatever it was, something crazy.
Crazy.
It was so I'm gonna take the over on this one.
I will say though, it's going to be difficult. He will go through a stretch where he struggles, just because he's more than likely going to be the 3-0 hitter. He'll be pitched to a little differently. He'll be feared. His walk should be high if he takes them, but he'll go through a little stretch where he has to figure out he can't swing at everything. So
that's what I was going to say. It's going to be an interesting transition for him because we saw it last year when he came in. It was like he was instant offense. So is he going to be able to make that? I'm sure he will, right? But it's going to be interesting to see because he did swing at everything.
Hey, but that's one of the things you've talked about, Randy, as a Tennessee diehard. You've talked about the patience of the Tennessee hitters at the plate and their ability to take a walk better than most teams. So, if Blake stays, the way that the Tennessee hitters have done, in the last few years, I think he'll be willing to take the walks for the team. So interesting because Daniel, I'm going to bring up what Daniel said back on this because I'm basically giving y'all a cheat code to the answer to this question. But if you had to pick a team other than Tennessee to win
a cheat code,
the national championship this upcoming season, who is it, Evan?
Oh, you just want me to say it.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
He said cheat code. Just don't say Baton Rouge.
No,
look at this answer. Hold on. Evan Russell, who wore the Florida Gators helmet. You believe this answer right here?
My boy went viral.
Man, I will say that Florida, they'll have the talent. It's just it'll be a question to see if they can kind of figure everything out.
Crazy talented.
Crazy talented, but not near as talented as that LSU team. It's going to be whenever Tennessee goes to LSU. I might even buy a plane ticket for myself just to go see it.
Let's meet down there. We're all going.
Man.
Yeah, I'm going to be sitting right next to George Cruz when Dylan Cruz takes Dolan a yard. I'm just saying.
That's a dude that I'm glad that I would never have to call pitches for again, man. He's a different breed.
Yeah, no doubt.
Can't pitch around anybody in that lineup, really, when you look at it, just 1 through 9.
Let me tell you a beautiful thing, Evan. I shared a clip the other day when I was down in Baton Rouge for the Ole Miss series, and both these guys actually happened to be because Randy, you were on DeLucia's episode, right? It was me, you and Mike. He's filling in for DB. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so DeLucia came on here, Evan, and he actually gave up a first inning bomb to Dylan Cruz, and we talked about it on the episode, and he threw 40 pitches and then they had a rain out and he wasn't supposed to come back the next day, but he said Dylan Cruz pissed him off so much he came back, and from then on, not even just that next day, DeLucia was lights out, and he accredits that to how much Cruz pissed him off. Now, I will say this, his boys came on the last Friends or Foes episode and exposed him and said, during the meeting they were specifically told not to throw down the middle of the plate to Cruz, and he clearly was asleep during the meeting, and he did that, and Cruz made him pay.
Oh, he gonna make you pay every time.
So, Sean, is it LSU for you, or are you gonna mix it up? Give me something different.
I'm in the same boat. Like, I don't know. I think you wanted me to say LSU. You wanted us both to say LSU. I'm gonna say LSU because Tommy White just went over there too. I don't. There's not really a hole in their offense like at all. So like I don't see anybody except Tennessee, getting their bats quieted down.
All right, so for Sean, I need to know as a pitcher how he looks at this sophomore class of pitchers nationwide. Those cats at Oregon State, Holton, Fulltrail, you see it, the Tennessee bunch. Have you ever seen another class with that many arms?
Is that like Tennessee sophomore class?
No, just in general, because I think like Holton's at Vanderbilt, Oregon State's got a pretty deep run. Arkansas has obviously got a lot of good.
The fact that he didn't put Skeens from LSU on there, I discredit the whole question. But go ahead, continue.
I don't know much about those schools and their sophomore class and their pitchers and stuff like that. But if you look like across college baseball in general, I feel like every time there's a new class that comes up, everybody's just getting better and better. Everybody's got, there's guys that are like 13 throwing like 90 now, which is like nuts, but whatever. But I guess as you keep going, years go by, everybody's getting better and better. So,
yeah, no doubt. Well, this is my last one, and you're either going to be a villain to me or a villain to Randy, one way or the other, both of you.
Don't do it.
Need you to settle this. Remember, I'm in control of the broadcast. If I need to hit end, I will. So 45 days to the start of college baseball. 45 was the number worn by one Kevin Kopps. Also, today is Landon Sims' birthday. All 2021, me and Randy argued about who the best closer in baseball was. Was it Kopps? Was it Sims? So we're gonna let you guys decide. I'll start with you, Evan. If you can pick one guy to be on your team, is it Cops or is it Sims?
Man, are we going college or professional?
College. That was the
College?
argument.
College. I mean, I got to go the guy that put up the greatest pitching season of all time. I think completely different. I think it changes completely different with wood bats. But
True.
in college, man, I'm taking Kevin Cobbs. He had an unbelievable season. No one will ever match it.
Sean, if you agree, I'll hit in broadcast. You better answer this right.
Do it quick. Say Cops.
I'll say I'm not gonna say I'll say Cops, but Landon Sims, like he's a dog too. Like
No doubt.
both of them are really good. But
Well,
I'm gonna have to go Cops on this one just because of that season he had. I mean, it was unbelievable.
The best part that was said to me today on social media as I did that whole thing between me and Randy, somebody said he won the Golden Spike, so that says it all. I said, well, Landon Sims got a national championship that year and got drafted 45 spots higher. So I'm just saying, but have your Golden Spikes.
Yeah. For me, the question was always, who's the better pitcher right now? And to me, that was Kevin Kopps, because what he was doing, he wasn't even human. The guy was closing. He was starting. He was going deep into games. I mean, you just don't see pitchers.
They had a rivalry of Arkansas that year. They should never say an Arkansas player. That's disrespectful.
Yeah, I just think yeah, go ahead.
It was.
Yeah.
If I was taking tools wise, I mean, I'm not taking anybody other than Landon Sims.
For sure.
He's a freak of nature.
Yeah.
But dude, I'll tell you what, the energy would always switch whenever Kevin Kopps came into the game. There wasn't really there wasn't fear from our dugout, but the dugout in Arkansas's dugout would just flip their energy, man, and it's almost like they knew they would win. So
it was like Mo Rivera coming in there. You heard Enter Sandman, and it was game time.
Yeah, right, and it was just a weird spot to be in.
I also don't think people realize how much he actually threw in the season, because I mean, I don't even know. I know it was under 1. His ERA was under 1.
Yeah.
But he also threw, like, his appearances to innings was like absurd. So like he was getting used a lot. So I mean, half the time he's probably throwing and he's, at 50%, he's not feeling the greatest, blah, blah, blah. Like that shows a lot to me, I guess.
That was actually what made our debate interesting, because Landon Sims was actually sitting number 2 out of relievers in the ERA behind him. So it was a good argument. And Landon Sims actually had a nice a stat going for him, and we had fun talking with him about it. What's the dude from Notre Dame's name, Randy?
Don't talk about Notre Dame.
No, oh, that's right, you don't. The dude who hit it like 750 feet on Landon Sims to be the first home run he gave up all year, and he was
who was the guy that came off from Mississippi State that said that ball's still moving?
Logan Tanner, the catcher. He said it's still traveling. What a home run to be the first one you give up, one that's launched to the moon.
Man, no, absolutely. So Sean, I want to go to you real quick. Obviously, we talked about you getting drafted by Tampa. They're obviously known for having a strong farm system. Instead of bringing up talent, going free agent market, they like to build from within and build up. So give us some names of some guys that you played with or that you know about that you think we'll be seeing in the show anytime soon.
I've played with Taj Bradley. He's the number 1 pitching prospect in all of MLB in the minors. I played with him for half a season. He's absolutely unreal. I mean, he throws like 4 pitches for strikes wherever he wants. He's up to like 99. He actually just got put on the 40-man this offseason, so he'll definitely debut at some point, I would say next season. I played with a pitcher named John Doxakis. He went to A&M actually. And also, you're not going to know who this is, but Oslavas Basabe, he's from the Dominican, I believe.
Can you spell that, Sean?
Yeah, I can spell it. I can't spell his first name right now. I can spell his last name though. But he's an unreal hitter. Like he's got probably the best hands I've ever seen. He doesn't strike out ever, so I'd look for probably those three names right there.
No, excellent. So you kind of mentioned, or Evan kind of said it earlier, that you were in the Tennessee facility. But what does a workout look for you like when you wake up and you mentioned who you were working out with, but when you go back, I want to ask you what a workout looks like. And when you go back, obviously, to Knoxville to work out, is that the kind of thing? Do you think that's always existed at Tennessee, or do you think this is another one of those things that V and you guys have helped build this program to where it is that you want to come back, work out together, and get to that next level together?
Yeah, I remember my freshman year, sophomore year, around that time. Evan can correct me if I'm wrong too. I don't remember many guys coming back to work out as pro guys. I mean, maybe a couple. But as the years went on, I feel like, my junior year, there was the guys that were ahead of us, they got drafted, were coming back to work out and being around us a little bit. But this year there's a lot more. There's a packed house in there in that weight room right now. So there's a lot more guys than there was my freshman year.
Do you think that helps in building? Yeah, definitely. We'll get to that in a question. But do you think that's helped and build that stability in that program and just the pedigree of what Tennessee baseball is becoming or has become?
Yeah, I think so, because the players that are here right now, the younger guys, the freshman, sophomore kind of guys, they see, all these pro guys come back and they're probably thinking like, hey, I want to be that guy too. So I'd say that gives them motivation and, kind of gives them like clarity to be like, hey, like that could be me if I keep working hard and trusting my coaches and stuff like that and, playing hard and stuff like that. So I feel like it's changed the culture.
And Sean, really quick, Randy, if you don't mind, because this one's the one that I just love picking the brains of, especially with pitchers. We had a hard time just having this conversation in general because obviously everything's so new. But the Rays, and to DB's credit, Rays are amazing at developing pitching. You look at Glasnow right now, McClanahan, and everybody else throughout that organization. Who are you most excited in a spring training type scenario to really pick the brain of?
Right now, I would say either McClanahan or Glasnow. McClanahan just came off one of the greatest seasons he's had. And they both throw 112 too. So you could always ask him about that. But those guys just work differently, I think. Just being around those guys in spring training and seeing how they go about their business, like what stuff they do to get themselves, prepared to pitch and stuff like that is something that everybody should, watch if you're in the minor leagues and want to get to that level.
For sure.
DV said, what's the word around the Rays camp with no shifts this season? You like that as a pitcher, the no shifts?
I don't know, man, because I got away with some stuff this season where they should have been hits, but like the shifts were like right on. So I don't know. I kind of like it, but sometimes when it doesn't work out, I don't like it at all. So I don't know. Like I can't really give an answer on that one. Like,
Evan,
Evan, what about you're a hitter, Evan. Baby?
Come on, let me know. What's the batting average, Evan? What's the batting average?
450.
I would have hit 350 at least. I would have hit 350 at least if they didn't have someone in that 6-0.
Ain't no doubt. That's why she just started hitting them out instead, huh?
Yeah, Evan said you can't put a shift into the bleachers. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, God.
Ask Vanderbilt, ask LSU. You heard me. But Sean, I'll end with you on this one. Do you know when you report to spring training yet?
They haven't set a date yet, but last year it was like February 27th, something like that. But I got to go to a camp in 2 weeks down in Florida, so I'll be there for 3 weeks, and I come back, and then I'll go back to spring training around the end of February.
Sure.
Excellent. Put that one up there, Jim, because I think we've actually asked Evan this before. In terms of where the program is, how satisfying was it for them to go into Nashville and take care of business? Did that series give them the feeling that they had finally gotten to the next level, or was it going into Oxford and doing what they did at Swayze, or something different? So, Evan, I'll ask you first. Well, I guess I have to ask you both because you were the one on the team, and Sean was already dicing them up in the minors when this was.
I actually know the answer because I was there. So go ahead.
I'll just give some honesty, man. Whenever we went into Oxford and they were number one at the time, and we took care of business there, we were pretty shocked on them being number one. Just because we were the pitching staff top to bottom, we didn't feel was good enough to be number one, and we thought that the talent level, to be honest, we thought that we were much more talented than they were for them to be higher ranked. But obviously, we were pretty wrong with how they finished the season. But going into the Vanderbilt series, we thought they were pretty talented. That we thought they had 5 or 6 guys up to 98 on the mound. So that Vanderbilt series, whenever we sort of went in and had a battle with a state where in baseball, they were always better than us. They were always taking care of business with us. For us to flip the script, that Vanderbilt series, I think that was whenever we really started running with some confidence.
I mean, let's be honest, Evan. To me, the Vanderbilt one's not impressive because as an LSU fan whose team wasn't as good as Tennessee, we went into Vandy and hung 20 on them. Come on, man. It was the Ole Miss one. I was there for it. I mean, look, this is my thing. And if we got any Ole Miss people watching, y'all, I've already said this publicly a million times, and so all the fair weather people, y'all can hear me, man. Y'all leaving in the fourth inning in the Tennessee games. That's all I'm saying.
Bro, I would too. It was like 20-0.
But then the boards were like, I want my coach fired. And then they win a national championship and let's extend him. He's the greatest coach ever. But Evan and them ran them boys out their own stadium. I was there for it. Hey, note that you don't know, Mike, from the Ole Miss series. During pregame, Jordan Beck actually almost killed me. I was talking to the Bookers and I had my back to the field. Anyway, he had a foul ball that literally whizzed my hat, dude. I thought I was going to die.
I'll tell you what. Here's what you got to do. This is the Mike Hughes expertise. Now, 4 concussions later, I mean, the answers switched up throughout the ways. But if you close your eyes and pretend like it's not happening, it doesn't hurt as
It was behind me, though. How do I close my eyes and pretend anything, bro?
Listen, here's what's going to happen. And Evan, as a catcher, I mean, come on, you caught for Joyce. You got to agree with me. I caught for a kid who threw 88 and I damn near shit. So I have no idea what catching for Joyce is like. But for me, personally, Jim, you have one of 2 options. Either your eyes are going to close themselves or you close them yourself and you feel like you're in a little bit more control. Kind of like, remember the Sandlot when he said, man, was running the first base, boom, lights out. See, if you just close them, it's just like you're taking a nap. It's just so much. You're
going to be taking a nap if you get hit with a Jordan Beck foul ball.
So it says Facebook user, but that's clearly an Ole Miss fan talking about, the one with gas left wins. But we're not here to talk about Ole Miss. We talking Tennessee. Go ahead, Randy.
Yeah, Evan. So wanted to get into you, and we're going to talk about kind of your next move. But you made an announcement today, so I don't want to take that glory from you. Could you just tell our listeners, what the announcement was?
Yeah, man. I decided that having a career in baseball was probably not going to be best for me with my situation. Being 24 years old, having teammates that are 16, 17, that are going to be in the system and get their foot in the door and go ahead and get that career started with, let's be honest, they have millions of dollars in their bank account as well. That's got to help. So knowing that was my competition, and obviously their talent level was pretty intense as well. They were all talented individuals. Knowing that situation, knowing that I'm a free agent, my career was going to be very difficult to sustain, and there wasn't much security when it came to 6 or 7 years down the road whenever my contract ran out, of having any money. If I didn't make it to the big leagues, I wasn't going to have any money. I was going to be relying on my parents to help support me, and that's no way to live if I had plans on starting a family. So I had to sort of see the writing on the wall, understand that my role was going to be a bullpen catcher for quite a while until the cards kind of aligned for me to continue my career. And fortunately, I had the ability to have a decent degree in my back pocket, and being able to have options and see that a career for me was probably headed in a more sustainable direction. That's sort of where I made the decision of continuing something else.
Mm-hmm.
Well, damn, Evan, you were in school for like 8 years, bro. Aren't you a doctor?
I should have went that route, man. I ain't gonna lie to you.
100%. But Evan, I do want to ask you something. A former friend of mine. I don't mean to put him on blast, but he's a member of the Chicago Cubs organization. But here we are. But he doesn't mind. He talks about being in the minors. Obviously, he's not a guy like a Drew Gilbert getting drafted in the first round. Spent a lot of his time sleeping in his car. You're a minor league baseball player, a professional baseball player, and you got guys sleeping in their cars. Guys like you, who one of the smartest guys in the room, obviously one of the most hardworking guys in the room, but make that decision for family reasons. Not everybody can be supported by their family, and even those, like you said, I'm sure, as amazing as your father and your mother are, I'm sure they're having that conversation as well. Listen, I don't I don't want to have these conversations at 24 years old. How much do you think the MLB needs to change that there are guys living in their cars and minor league ball players who are, one injury away from a career-ending injury making $10,000 a year? Like, how do you feel about the minor league system in that aspect?
Well, there you go. You made the comment making 10 grand a year. That's very difficult to sustain a living, especially if there's some people, some of my teammates, had kids. They were married with kids, and spending 6 to 8 months away from their kids basically throughout the year, making 10 grand.
I'm signing up.
Randy's got his own team at home. If you didn't know already,
Evan's gonna have more. I have a prediction right here, right now. Evan has more kids than Randy.
Ooh, Evan, you got a lot of catching up to do. I had 2 by the time I was 24.
I can see it. He, it's that Tennessee boy. He gonna have like 5 or 6 of them. Watch.
I love it, man.
I don't know about that. I'm definitely not in any rush to have children anytime soon. But
Mike makes you think you don't want to have any, doesn't he?
Listen,
I understand it.
Listen, the Chicago way. Hey, I'll see you when I see you. I'll see you around.
Oh my goodness,
we'll
man.
catch up. We'll see each other around the way.
Randy, reel us back in.
Let me reel this back in.
Hey, my bad.
So obviously, no, you're good. You're good. So the announcement was obviously made. Legendary career. I've talked about what you meant to building this program. Talked about what you meant to to Tennessee baseball. What you meant to a lot of kids as well. Obviously, that was well documented. So speaking of the kids, today you also made another announcement that you're excited about running a camp in West Tennessee at Scotts Hill High School. I read the information. We read the information. But for those that don't know, tell us what this camp's going to be about and what you're going to be doing.
So basically, I decided to run this camp because whenever I come from West Tennessee, so that was sort of where I wanted to start. And I sort of realized at a very young age that the education of baseball in West Tennessee and the competition level and understanding how to become a college baseball player, there's a lack of information, right? So I sort of wanted to go back, and if there's ever any kids that want to dedicate their life to trying to be a college baseball player, I at least want to give them an opportunity of knowing how to dedicate their life. Because there were many years that I was dedicating my life to the things that not necessarily is what I should have been working on, right? So that's sort of the reason why I'm trying to go back to a camp, give something that's, to be honest, extremely financially beneficial for a family, something that's not a lot of money to do, trying to go out of my way, set something up where these kids can sort of have mechanical information on the field, but also be able to video throughout this camp, take notes, give them a full report on what, if I was in their shoes, what I would be working on in order for them to play at the next level, and also be able to provide information to the families on what the recruiting process looks like. To be honest, there's a lot of recruiting tactics that are just money savers or money makers for college. Absolutely. So there's information that I feel like I give out in order for people to save money, along with getting enough information on how to go throughout the process with a little more education than they had before.
So we've had a lot of your teammates on, obviously, and they always mention 2 people as far as leaders, as players, and that's Connor Pavoloni and Evan Russell. A lot of them say they could see you becoming a coach one day. Do you think that this camp is the start to something like that?
Potentially. Yeah. I mean, I'm never going to turn down an option of having a conversation in any way when it comes to that. I feel that I had the privilege of 5 years of being around college baseball. I played more games than anyone did at Tennessee. So therefore, I have an advantage of the experience in college baseball. I know how it works. I know how it's run. I know the talent that it takes. I know there's nothing that I can't that I haven't seen before.
So you say you played the most games in a Tennessee uniform, and I got to address the question something. So, I mean, would you coach for Vanderbilt? And if he did, Sean, would you still be friends with him?
I'll let him answer that first.
I love Tony Vitello. That's my guy to death. but growing up, I had a big respect for Tim Corbin.
Of course.
I'm from Tennessee, so I was watching Vanderbilt. Tony Vitello wasn't at Tennessee.
Right.
Tony Vitello was an assistant at Arkansas. At the time, I didn't know Arkansas wasn't recruiting me. I didn't know much about Tony Vitello, and obviously he's made a statement, and that's my guy. But I grew up sort of.
Don't you say it? I really will.
I love the dancing, but at some point this broadcast ends.
Oh, Evan, don't say it. That's gonna break my heart. Worse than you retiring, bro.
Say it with your chest, Evan. Say it with your chest.
I think he's gonna say he would do it,
and I respect him for it.
Everyone has a price. Let's just say that.
Hey, shit, me too, dog.
He would do it.
Hey, I'll tell you what.
And Sean, obviously you would support him. You're his friend. And
I'd support, yeah.
But
I'd support.
How would you feel, man? You're a Tennessee guy.
I'd support for sure. I'd have his back in the situation. I think when Tennessee Vanderbilt plays against each other, if he's coaching for Vanderbilt, I think I'm gonna have to be loyal and stay with the Vols.
Of course.
But I mean, I'm still, we're still boys. You know what I mean? Like,
of course.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd be able to turn over that loyalty from the Vols, man. I ain't gonna lie.
Evan,
yeah.
I gotta be
what
honest.
I'm hearing is you would fold the game on purpose.
Evan, I gotta be honest with you, dog. I would have to heckle you, bro, and I don't want to do that. You're like my boy. You're like, I mean, this is not even hyperbole. I mean, when you really think back, and I hope that both of you guys are able to do this at some point, if not, at this young stage of your life, and realize, obviously, you talked about Vitello making a statement, Frank Anderson, all those guys that have done this incredible work at Tennessee, but you guys, Sean, Evan, Drew Gilbert, all these guys, you guys have been the ones that have made Tennessee baseball what it is. Without you, it's not that. So I say all that to say, I hope, Evan, now with you kind of hanging up the cleats as a player, you can appreciate what you guys have built to this point, because this Tennessee baseball is not in the top 5 preseason going into this year, if not for what the work that you guys have done. And that's all. I'm done fanboying now, so we can get on to the close.
I think you forgot a name when you were listing off who built this program. Liam Spence is a
for sure. Connor Pavoloni. I mean, I could name guys all day. I
just wanted you to name Liam, especially since he came on our show and said he didn't hit home runs and then hit like 6 in the first.
No, okay.
Games.
Let me tell you why I'm not going to name Liam, because he did an interview in the stairwell next to a sprinkler pipe. You know what I'm saying? It was just I was worried.
And you called him out. That was the worst part. You said
I said Liam.
Well, no, it was a this or that question, and it said, would you rather have the painful truth or a comforting lie? And then Randy goes, is the painful truth that you're sitting in a stairwell right now?
but no, that's real talk though, guys. I really do hope that you guys can appreciate this. Evan, as you're going on to coach and mold young men and what it means to build a program, what you guys have done at Tennessee is not something that's ever going to, it doesn't just go away like that. I mean, right? This is important stuff, and it means success for no matter what. Even if Vitello leaves, I'd be devastated. I don't want the guy to leave, right? But I think the lasting legacy is you guys are still going to be Vols forever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think that's very important for the next generation of Tennessee baseball players to understand, man. There's been a foundation, a standard set, and they're going to have to meet it. And if they don't, then we'll have to restart this process all over again. So I think with comes great success, there comes some great pressure. So we shall see if they.
Heavy is the head that wears the crown, my friend.
That's right.
Hey, but I'll tell you this. I predict before we're all done, I think Evan will be coaching somewhere, and I think Sean, I'm going ahead and saying it, this year he's getting called up to the big leagues.
Listen,
him and Joyce both. I'm going him and Joyce both.
We're flying down to Tampa?
No.
Yes.
Oh, without a doubt. Tampa
against or LA now.
And
if that happens, you're all coming. I promise.
DB's been talking a little crazy in the chat. I was on my way down there anyway with the bat. Me and Evan were going, but
hey, look, you can ask Sean, man. You don't want to fight a pitcher, man. They got.
I said nothing about Sean. DB's old. Come on.
And Sean's tall and long. And Sean's tall and long. You don't want nothing to do with that.
Hey, Jim, what happened to the last dude that called DB out, man? He ain't hit a single home run, bro.
Hey, you know what? That was a question that I did have on my list. I forgot to ask. We can't close this until I ask this to Sean. This was a question for Sean. I don't know how I missed this. Jordan Beck's bat slam that he did when he slammed the bat, not flipped it, slammed it. If you're an opposing pitcher, the next time he comes around, is he getting ear hold?
I'm gonna say no, because I like the bat flip stuff because like it adds flavor to the game.
But it wasn't a flip. That was a slam.
It was a slam. I don't remember this. I don't remember the situation like to a T.
Mm.
But if I'm a pitcher and somebody hits a ball that far off of me, like you
That's
can
the
pretty
least
much
of
do
your
what
worries
you
is
want.
what he's
Like
doing
you,
to your bat.
Right.
yeah, I'm probably not even looking at him. I'm probably watching the ball and like going to the stars. You know what I mean? But like, I mean, at that point, you kind of just got to let it happen because I mean, he beat you. You know what I mean?
Oh, without a doubt.
I mean, isn't that what Landon Sims kind of said? All he could do was turn around and look. He's like, man.
Yeah.
He also had like a 8-run lead, so it's nice that you can admire a home run ball and know it just cost you the game.
Hey, I got
Yeah,
one
I
more
mean, turned
left.
around like-
sometimes you,
That would have sucked.
yeah,
Go ahead,
sometimes you got to watch it. I mean, it's mesmerizing.
Right. No, 100%.
I don't
Yeah.
think the guy watched Drew Gilbert when he hit that game-winning grand
I
slam.
wouldn't. I wouldn't. Remember earlier when we were saying everything just goes black sometimes? I think that's one of those moments your just mind is like, we're going to suppress that one. That one's not, we're going to think about that one when we're like
It's
60.
funny you say that because Gilbert said he went black when he hit that. He
Every
said
time.
he said he can't remember it.
It's a two-way
then-
street, man. It's positive and negative, man. The craziest moments will black out.
When we asked Blake Burke the same question about big bombs, he said the same thing. He blacked out. But Sean, I got to ask you a question, and Evan, you too, as a catcher, when you're obviously we don't see it in college baseball a lot when a pitcher hits a guy on purpose, but we see it sometimes like in the pros or whatever. What's the biggest difference between the pros and college baseball, and why you don't see that?
I think it hurts more.
I think in pro, like you're playing those guys every single season. I mean, if you're playing 20 seasons, like that's 20 years you're facing the same guys. There's
So you
always
hate
gonna
them.
there's always gonna be some kind of beef or something that happens. You're gonna hold grudges, stuff like that. But in college, I feel like we care more about winning, and like I wouldn't say more about winning because they care about winning too. But I'd
they
say
have
it's
got
more money to not
162
care about
games.
yeah, right. So I mean, I'm not really sure if there's a big difference in it. I mean, Evan will probably.
I just know everybody in the majors rejoiced because Ben Joyce came on our episode and said that he would never intentionally hit anybody. So thank the Lord for that.
Sean, can
I don't
ask you
believe it.
something really quick?
Yeah.
Listen, man, you're the nicest kid we've had on here so far. Nicest guy I've
You
met.
stuck up
I
round
don't
nose.
care. I don't care. But I've watched.
You said the
game.
same thing to the last 6 guests.
Yes, I have, and they're all the nicest boys. But anyways, back to it. Forget Jim. Jimothy's lying. I didn't say that, and don't watch the last episodes because it's not relevant. But Sean, I watch your game, man, and you remind me so much energetically of like a Justin Steele. I mean, you're out there, man, and you're doing your thing. How much does it take you to actually drill a guy, though? Like, what is it for you that's like, I gotta drill him?
I mean,
is it a
momentum it would
thing?
it would take a lot, to be honest with you, because like
talk about his mama.
Yeah, I don't want to let anybody on base in general. Like, and I mean, I guess you'd have to look at the score too. Like, if it's close, no shot. Like, it would have to be like, something really bad. But like, I don't.
Speaking of mamas, we got Mike's mama on the.
There's got to be somebody who loves Mike.
I'm gonna say this right now. She don't watch nothing I do. She don't even know what I'm doing right now. But Evan.
But did you get a snow shovel?
Dude, Evan, hold on. Nah, because see now I'm
trying to let these boys get out of here.
Listen,
Stop it.
Wait, no, hold on. Evan,
My fault.
I got a shovel, bruh. Like, what the hell is that? I don't even but you know what? I'm appreciative, and that's all I'm gonna say. And God is good all the time. So I will appreciate that.
Dylan Cruz, I actually listened back because Dylan Cruz was the first episode after Christmas last year, and he said it's about getting what you need, not what you want. And Mike, you needed a shovel, damn it.
I had a shovel, damn it. But anyways. Evan, last one before I wrap this one up. What does it take for you to give the sign? And you know what I'm talking about. Drilling somebody, Evan. Drilling somebody straight in the rib. Ben Joyce is pitching. You see it. It's an armed weapon on the mound. You just look at the dude to your right or to your left, and you're like, F this guy, man. Like, what does it take?
I'll tell you what, man, I couldn't really do much of it in college. Just because you only play 56 games, if you got caught intentionally hitting someone, if there was a brawl, if there was punches thrown, somebody's getting ejected, somebody's getting suspended for 3 or 4 games.
You say the F word to the umpire in the middle of an at bat. I mean,
you're gone. Which that's a whole different discussion.
Why you gotta do that?
That didn't need to be mentioned. That didn't need to be talked about.
Yeah.
Nothing but the hits here on Pros and Joes.
But man, and pro ball, it happened all the time. Well,
Yeah.
I was only in there for a short amount of time, but it was happening. It felt like every week. You got a guy on the mound that's made $4 or $5 million. He'll get fined $10,000 if he get tossed out. Man, that's nothing.
Well, what's
Right.
funny is somebody, I forgot who told it. Remember, Randy was on Twitter. Somebody said, well, I bet Gilbert won't bat flip on people like that in the pros. And we were like, yeah, right.
Yeah, right.
No, it's happening. It's happening, and it's going to start a bunch of problems. But
yeah, he might get drilled at that. Yeah.
for both of you guys right now, I want to give you guys the opportunity to plug in anything. Obviously, Evan, you said mentioning your camp. If you want to plug that in, your Instagrams, Twitters, whatever it may be, the floor is yours. Evan, we'll start with you, brother.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a camp coming up. If anyone is watching that's around West Tennessee, if you have a chance to join this camp, I think that it would be very beneficial. I'm just trying to supply some sort of knowledge, experience that I had, and make it easier on anyone that's wanting to follow the same sort of steps that I did. So if that's something interesting to you, I would ask to look at my social media. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. You should find the information there through my website. So, yeah,
At Evan Russell _3.
that's it. That's it.
100%. You will see me and Randy at the camp. We're making a comeback. It's going to be beautiful.
Randy said, hell no.
Nah,
Yeah,
bro.
Randy
Look,
said,
Evan said
no.
he's too old to do it, bro. I'm 14 years older than Evan. I throw one ball, be like,
Yeah.
woo, that was it.
Sean, how about you, brother? Where could everybody find you? What do you got going on?
Yeah, if anybody's listening from the Nashville, Mount Juliet area and they want to do some pitching lessons, I'm going to be in Mount Juliet for the remainder of the off season. So if you guys want to come in and get some work in before I head out to spring training, you guys can just find me on Instagram, Sean Hunley 32, and we can get something worked out.
That's
Without a doubt.
SEAN. Sean.
SEAN, not the other version. That's the weird version. We don't talk about that. But fellas, we appreciate you guys coming on, man. It's always a blessing talking to you guys. I'm Pros and Joes. This is another episode of our edition this season, Friends and Foes, the Randy Jower edition. This is his debut on Pros and Joes. You love to see it.
Come back
but
for Evan, baby.
Jim and I will be back tomorrow for episode 6. Going to be super exciting with former Mississippi State national champions in the house, Houston Harding and Preston Johnson. We'll be talking everything UCL's. Unfortunately, I will have to bite the bullet on that one because it actually is relevant now. Which, man, I can't catch a break. So if you guys want to see another episode of Mike Hughes catching shit by Preston Johnson, one of the most knowledgeable guys in the game, wasn't informed, you can catch us tomorrow. Super excited about it. Again, this is Mike Hughes, Jim Cross, Randy Jeezy Jowers on Pros and Joes. Thank you guys for listening from the All Sports All Plays Network. Peace.